because I made a TikTok and I created a video disclosing information about our relationship, about when I cheated on my husband at the beginning of our marriage.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. We've got one special one for you. Since we're talking about betrayal this week on a Friday, make sure, guys, if you are new to the channel, you tune in for our Friday Deep Dive Fridays. But since it's the week of betrayal, we're going to talk about I cheated on my husband. And I want to say this is one of the greatest fears of any man in the world, okay? And so we're going to break down this video, because I think there's some things that were said within the video that we can really take from, learn from, and also as well some things I'm going to review and critique, and I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
And for me, it was insecurity of not feeling fully accepted into his family. None of those things are justifications at all, but there are certain doors that open and can lead to situations that, or temptations that, you know, you necessarily don't need to walk through. I know a lot of people want to know, how did you forgive? Like, what steps did you take to forgive me? And how did you know that I wasn't cheating on you anymore?
So, you understand? So, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and click on the bell button for more great content like this. And for those of you who are returnees, well, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Yes. All right, cool. So this particular episode is a really wild one for me. So I was watching a video online, and it was on the channel called Raven, I believe it was. And this young lady obviously has been married for 7 years, and she recently on TikTok did a viral video which she was talking about, kind of doing a video where she expressed that she had cheated on her husband. Now, the backstory of this particular situation is that obviously they had been married for a year. There was some family issues as the cause of what she stated why she cheated, and the video that was done on YouTube, separate from the TikTok. The one that's done on YouTube was his idea. From what I saw, that she commented on a particular post, she said it was her idea. So, that being said, okay, I'm gonna try and be fair as possible, because I commented on the video and I said I don't like the vitriol that you're getting on this particular video, because I know that it was done by another reviewer and their whole ethos is red pill stuff. So as soon as men got on there, they just launched their vitriol, okay, whether they're right or wrong. But I want to say something very, very clear. It does ring alarm bells when you are first year into marriage, woman or man. Y'all know I'm fair. Woman or man, when somebody cheats on you within that first.
I cheated on my husband at the beginning of our marriage. We are now on year 7, but that video got
first year. First year is meant to be. First year is obviously said. Some people say the first year is the hardest. Some people say the first year is the easiest, right? But that first year, everything's freshener, you know. And so to hear that story for any man is fear. Cheating in general is the greatest fear of any man getting into a relationship. And the reason why it's the greatest fear is because so many men cheat, and they are scared that women will do to them what men have done to women for eons. Not only that, men are not reared to take pain. Not that they can't. They're not reared to take pain. When someone is not reared to take pain, when they take pain, the way that they react is completely differently. If you look at the life of a woman from birth to the death of her life, she suffers pain in many different formats. She will suffer pain in terms of being a woman itself, and that means biologically. Society will look at a woman as, in societal hierarchy, as not being equal to men, so she's going to suffer pain that way. Especially as a black woman, she's going to suffer racism, as well as obviously sexualization, objectification. She's going to suffer potentially fear from a man, you know, abusing physically, emotionally, sexually. You've got to look out for so many things as a woman, that they are conditioned in society to take pain. I'm not saying it's right. I'm making it very, very clear as to why men and women are reacting differently when it comes to things like this. Men are conditioned, okay, due to patriarchy, to say when they get cheated on, it's an absolute no to take your partner back, right? Because the entitlement and the pride and the ego says no. Do you understand? Whereas for women, it's conditioned, and I want to make it very clear again. It's conditioned that when the man cheats on them, they should continue to take him back.
And before God, I knew who I was standing across from. So, you know, I had to humble myself and look at it in the sense of recognizing this not a character flaw.
Right? And so we have generations upon generations of men who struggle with this idea of if a woman was to cheat on you, it's an absolute end of the relationship. Like a lot of men will, and we saw in the comment section, if you watch the video, a lot of men said in that video, oh, you know, it's there's no way this man is a real man, he's a simp, he's a beta male, da-da-da. Can I be very frank with you? Look, we especially I think they really believe in God as well, so I want to be very honest with you. If you believe in God, you're going to believe in forgiveness. Am I saying you have to? No, I'm saying, but you believe in forgiveness, and that can shape the way that you look at scenarios and situations where you're betrayed. You understand? Yeah. Ask Jesus with Peter. When Peter betrayed Jesus 3 times at the cocking of the crow, the Lord said, listen, I'm going to forgive you, Peter. You understand? Now, Judas is a different story. We don't have to talk about him. You understand? Yeah? But betrayal can be forgiven. And if the two parties really do believe they can, they believe they can be forgiven, and believe they can move forward and they can work on it, then fantastic, more fire to them. But let me break down the review and give you guys the actual video and what actually happened. So one thing that was concerning for me watching it was the expression of the husband. In the very beginning of the video, you're going to hear her talking. And
because I made a TikTok and I created a video disclosing information about our relationship, about when I cheated on my husband at the beginning of our marriage. Tons of nasty, mean comments. Yeah, this video is not for like an explanation as to why or what, to justify, none of that. We're not trying to prove our relationship to anybody.
And you're going to see his body language is all over the shop. His face, he's not even looking properly. He's spaced out, basically, right? And now when people space out at a point in time at this point, oftentimes it's because they're replaying what events in their mind, right? Oftentimes they're tuning out, maybe because they don't want to listen, or it's painful to listen, so they tune out at the point in time, right? And so usually he just looks, the energy looks withdrawn, he looks beaten and defeated. That is the word I want to use. He looks defeated in the early stages of that video. Yeah. So if it was his video, the energy was all off, and then it jumps and cuts, and then he's smiling a little bit, and so you can see there's a difference in demeanor. So he can be a happy, smiley, kind of, you know, energetic ball of an individual person. So why was he at the very beginning looking like he was withdrawn and broken and defeated? Again, sometimes certain things are being said, and she was talking about the fact that while they're doing the video, maybe at that point in time he was actually really thinking and reconnecting with that moment of betrayal, because it's hard to deal with betrayal, even if it's 6 years later. And I'm going to say some things. When I heard some of the things that were said, I don't want to say problematic, but what I want to say, it speaks to the kind of man and woman that are in the video. Again, I'm not cussing them, and I want to really just emphasize that it's not about hurting or cussing or bashing, but rather like to analyze and see, to analyze and learn from this particular process, okay? And so they mentioned the reason why they decided to continue the relationship was because they both realized they wanted to fight for the marriage. And I've always said this: there is your partner, but the marriage itself, that is the war that you're facing. That's what unites both of you. That this marriage, you don't want it to quit, you don't want it to end, and so you bond together in a campaign to war against yourselves to stay in a relationship
worth fighting for. You really have to ask yourself that. And for me, what really helped, I always remember back to the times leading up to our marriage and the day of our marriage.
Because it's very easy to quit, right? Very easy to when you're not happy. Very easy to when things are not going the way you want it to go to. Very easy. Okay, and so he goes on to say that obviously, you know, the reason why he didn't make the decision to leave was that he was thinking about back in the day as a reason why he married. And I've always said this to you guys: if you look at the scripture when Christ talks about how someone can leave a marriage, I always say, listen, the word I believe in English that they use is adultery, and I think it's purposeful. Fornication. Sorry, I think the reason why they use fornication is purposeful, because when you look at the Jewish customs as what we understand it to be, there was a betrothal system. So you be betrothed to somebody. You're not married. You're betrothed to them, almost like an engagement kind of thing. You're betrothed to them, and if they find that you're not a virgin, oh boy, if they find out you're not a virgin, oh my days. You understand? They get rid of your ass. You know what I'm saying? So when Joseph finds out that Mary was pregnant, what did the Bible say? He sought to quietly put her away. Why quietly? Number one, because he loved Mary and didn't want to be moving mad. Do you know what I mean? Because for a woman to be pregnant from fornication in a society that way, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. You understand? So he didn't want to make her embarrassed in front of people, etc., right? So he decided he's going to quietly put her away now, all right? And so that's what I think when we're talking about, obviously, when Christ says that a marriage can only end because of fornication, I think that's what he means, right? Because why not use the word adultery instead? I think that they're speaking to the customs of the time, right? So in this particular case, when he says, obviously, thinking about why he got married, look, marriage is meant to represent what God did for us. When Christ and the Lamb marries the bride, you and I, there's no escape. There is nothing that could separate us from the love of God. Do you understand? Nothing can separate you from the love of Jesus. Do you understand? And so I can understand why he decided to look back and say, hey, I want to make this work. Am I saying that you can't divorce? No, I'm saying that I believe that Christ took it to the highest level. And I believe there's grace for everything. I'm not saying that your second marriage is not right. I'm not saying your third marriage ain't right. I'm not saying any of those things. Not that God can't bless it. I'm not saying any of those things. What I'm saying is to take it to its highest level, just like when the Bible says, obviously, if you look at a woman and lust, that is the higher level. Now, if you lust, are you going to hell? No, that's not what the point is. The point of the matter is that their level is so high, the only way to fulfill it is through the Spirit. The only way to fulfill that law is through the Spirit. But I'm talking about the relationship here with I cheat on my husband. Okay, my husband. Okay. And so he then goes on to describe her, what happened. He says, obviously, he had to remind himself that it was a lapse of judgment and not her character. And I want to make it very clear, when it comes to cheating, when someone has cheated, okay, and this is what I was saying to a friend the other day, that the hardest thing about this cheating thing is that very much like if somebody is a cheater, so let's say they committed adultery, got caught, or they confessed, went again and did adultery again, a second time, and let's say they did it within a 5-year span, the person who got cheated on may feel violated differently. But if that person was having a 5-year affair, it might be looked upon differently because it was all done in one whole
myself and look at it in the sense of recognizing this not a character flaw, it's not her as a person. It was a lapse of judgment that happened that could have happened to me as well.
In any situation, it doesn't matter. Cheating is not okay whatsoever.
Span. So it's like, it's crazy to think. It's hard to say. I don't think anybody cheating necessarily is their character flaw. I think everybody cheating is poor judgment, and when I say poor judgment, in the sense of it's poor decision making based upon a refracted, broken lens in the way that you see things, and a refusal to heal within yourself. It's an inability to be committed to the commitment. I said that about Ashley and put a ring on it. The inability to be committed to the commitment, because being committed to the commitment means nothing about your emotions. It's all about being committed, irrespectively. Yeah? And so he's absolutely right. And when he said, and obviously when he said that anybody could fall, there was some passage of lines there, and I'll put the video up there, that made it sound as if he was, for me, I got the idea of him being a people pleaser. Not because he got cheated on, but the way that it's been dealt with. And I say that because I feel like I got PTSD watching him. That similar thing that I felt, which is that when I got cheated upon, I kind of made it like, oh, what did I do? The truth of the matter is, people are cheating because they want to cheat. You understand? Yeah, ain't nothing that you did. Most people, it's not because you did anything. Most people, they cheat on you because they wanted to. It was their...
Forgiving my wife was, like I said, humility. Humbling myself to say, okay, can I look at it in a realistic aspect of, now that I understand what made her feel a certain type of way, would I have, is there a possibility I could have fell into the same thing? And I mean, as a human being, you know, that the answer is easy, yes. I mean, it took a point of vulnerability and somebody being there and you feeling like, okay, something is not being fulfilled by the other person. So I had to first realize that was my first thing in recognizing, okay, I have to understand where she's coming from. Secondly was remembering who I married and understanding the person that I knew that she was.
Prerogative, like Britney Spears or Bobby Brown would say. It's got nothing to do with you. And the fact that he tries to reason it almost as if he wasn't doing what he needed to be doing, because her reasoning for cheating was because his family wouldn't accept her into the family. But hold on, wait a minute. How long have the family not been accepting you that you decided to cheat now? And what's more important, the family accepting you or him accepting you? If he doesn't accept you, then I can understand. But he doesn't allude to actually him doing something per se. He more alludes to the fact that they weren't in the best place possible. And so it makes it very hard, or I should say, it makes it very obvious looking at it from one perspective, and I might be wrong.
For us, it was family issues. At the time, we were living apart from each other immediately after we got married. And for me, it was insecurity of not feeling fully accepted into his family.
That he's taken a weight of the brunt of the reasoning for why she cheated. Now, here's what happens when you do that. When you take on the reason as to why someone cheated, when really it's not your fault. And I'm not saying that if you starve someone of sex, if you cut people off financially, if you do some wild things to make people want to go to that extreme, I can understand when you say I did something, right? But if you're talking about the fact that it's out of his control, his family wouldn't accept her into the family, and that made her want to go out of the relationship, the marriage, to cheat with somebody else, you've actually got to look within yourself, because you were probably triggered by something. Maybe family means a lot to you, and the fact that you were rejected by his family caused you to feel rejected, isolated, alone. But that's a you issue. That's not a me issue. That's got nothing to do with me. That's to do with you being triggered within yourself, which is why I was concerned when I saw the fact that obviously he was almost making as if he wanted to take the weight off her shoulders to try and defend her. Remember I said the same thing about Miles and Karen. When people do this when they're covering a person. Listen, I used to do this. And the reason why is because it's not because love covers a multitude of sins. I'll be honest with you, it's not.
I think both parties need to figure out what's causing you to want to be vulnerable to somebody else. There's something missing that you're not getting from one another that somebody else is able to fulfill at that time, which is why it's important for you both to go over what this is that's in the midst of you. For us, it was a family issue.
The reason why is people do this, right, is because they oftentimes the fear. I don't want the person to look bad. No. Listen, they got to own their stuff. You can't make excuses for them. You have to let them own their stuff. That's why you're in the position you're in right now. You're boundaryless. Sometimes you got to let people own their stuff. Yes, they have done some wrong, and let them own it. Don't try to not even that cover, I should say. Don't try to speak on their behalf. Let them come out and say what they need to say. You understand? Yeah? Sometimes the desperation and the necessity and the need to want to be in a relationship, in a marriage, to be committed, makes people overstep the mark and not allow people the autonomy or the room to be great, to be able to say, hey, this is my mistake. Yeah, that's what I did wrong. To own it. Yeah, because it's almost like it's almost like an agency, or it's called personal agency, when you have the autonomy to do something or change something. Yeah, and so very much like almost in like what happens within rape cases, where a woman will say, she'll try and blame herself, and the reason why she'll try and blame herself is because she needs to make sense of the fact that the act that was so heinous and evil, I've contributed towards it, because if I've contributed towards it, then I have some sense of control over my environment and my situations. But the truth of the matter is, in a lot of these cases, there is no control over the situation. The person did what they wanted to do because they're evil. So now when somebody cheats, it almost is like it makes the person feel better that, oh, you know what, I wasn't talking to you. Oh, not even that wasn't. Oh, do you know what, my family didn't like you, so that's why you did what you did. is to give the person reason for an action that doesn't need a reason. The only reason that needs to be stated is that they wanted to. And it's more scary to put yourself in a field of saying that person just wanted to because they had a lapse of strength, because that's scary. Why? Because that can happen at any time, at any place. Anybody can have a lapse of strength. But if you say, oh, there's a core reason here, the core reason is that, you know, the family weren't accepting you, so I get it why you were. No, darling, the excuse doesn't need an excuse. The thing is this: the person stepped out because they wanted to.
We got married, and for me it was insecurity of not feeling fully accepted into his family. None of those things are justifications at all.
Desire. The Bible talks about this, that the desire in James 1, where it talks about how, you know, sin, okay, is birthed by desire, and the desire is intrinsically within the person. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Unless, and I said this, unless there is harsh external pressure, heavy pressure externally, there's little or no excuses for why you cheated. You just did it because you wanted to. You could have quit the relationship. You weren't getting what you wanted. You could have quit the relationship. You weren't getting what you wanted. You could have quit the marriage. You didn't. You decided to cheat. Why? Because the safety is in that you can come back. The safety is in the fact that the person can't move. The safety is in the fact that when you get separated from them and you have to go away, now that safety net ain't there no more. Let's keep it 100% trill. Cheating is a selfish act which initiates control and power. Y'all know I love talking about control and power. Let's keep it 100% trill. The reason why you cheat in a relationship, let's say you don't want to go back, but you want to cheat on it. Sometimes people want to end a relationship. That's still a control issue. Why didn't you end it with them? Why couldn't you be man enough or woman enough to end it with them and say, hey, I want to go my way? The truth of the matter is, it's fear. The fear is when you end it, okay, right? Sometimes, yes, someone might say, oh, but the whole things after that, the whole conversations after that, that's got nothing to do with it. Let's keep 100% real. You cheated at that point because there is safety in doing it, okay? Coming home and home is still safe. The safety going out there and cheating, coming home and your kids are with your husband or your wife. There's safety in it, right? Whereas if you're single now, you go and cheat and you come back and there's no one there to. You're back to single. Let's deep it 100% and keep it 100% true and real, baby. You understand? So when she mentioned something, she should obviously both people in a relationship need to figure out what the needs are of the person to be met. Can I be honest? Absolutely right. Any relationship needs to make sure that needs are being met on both sides of the coin. So both people need to be able to assess and say, hey, what are our needs, right? But in cheating, it's not always that both people need the needs. Now, when he decided to agree with her point about, the needs situation, that's what, if you watch it, he didn't agree. If you watch it, I'm going to play the video, you're going to see him bite his lip as she says meet the needs.
I think both parties need to figure out what's causing you to want to be vulnerable to somebody else. There's something missing that you're not getting from one another that somebody else is able to fulfill at that time, which is why it's important for you both to go over what this is that's in the midst of you. For us, it was a family issue.
That let me know that outwardly you may be agreeing. Remember I talked to you guys about compliance. Outwardly you may be agreeing, but inwardly you will be disagreeing. But if you're a people pleaser, you won't be able to state it because you're used to pleasing the person and making sure that everything is peaceful because you don't like argument, you don't like discourse, you don't like disagreement, right? Because you want the home to be happy, right? But actually you're enabling behavior and you're causing them more stress in your relationship, right? So that lip biting for me was huge. He zones out and then bites his lip at the point. See, look at the behavior across the board of the video. He's zoning out at particular points. It's his way of, I believe it's his way of psychologically saying, I disagree with the points that are being made, but I don't want to voice it. Yeah? So when she goes and said her reasoning was insecurity of not being accepted into the family, I was like, this is kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever heard that before, that someone didn't feel accepted by the family and decided that they're going to cheat. What did the husband do to you? I mean, is he not defending you? Is he joining in with the family? Is he, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I know he mentioned obviously it felt like they were at two different ends or whatever. It felt like they were a bit disjointed at that point. But it's a bit of a mad thing, And so he made a very good point. Obviously, that that if you do cheat, if the person gets cheated on, they have to be able to ask and get the full truth from the person, and not be continually backbiting and trying to use arguments to try and wrestle some type of control or power, making yourself feel better. So
day-to-day life, it's just during that time when you're going through tough stuff, you're not always going to be yourself. Also, I had to understand that I'm going to have questions that I need to ask. I need to know the truth and understand that I'm being told the full truth. And once I get that truth, I need to be able to put that on the back burner and say, okay, look, now that I know everything, how are we gonna move forward? I can't hold this against you. I can't continue to bring this up when we have an argument. I have to move on as well, and give her a chance to show progress versus thinking it's gonna happen overnight just because you told me about it Tuesday and it's Thursday and I feel like I'm still harboring it.
And I think as the cheat,
I actually agree with that as well. If anything like that, if you're going to forgive your partner, you have to be aware that two things need to happen. Yes, you need to get the absolute truth, and you may need to ask further questions along the line. It's not a one-day affair. Let me be very frank with you. Cheating is not a one-day, I'm going to ask a question and I'm done. No, there's going to be over the course of a few months. You're going to have to ask some questions. You got to be ready to be ready to answer, and do it without feeling like you're being checked. But you also, at the same time, the person who's asking questions has to also respect the fact that you can't be asking in a way that's going to be detrimental to the other person's health and your health. Secondly, asking it in a way that's not going to be always antagonistic, because that just makes someone defensive. Do you understand? You want information, you don't want war. Yeah. And so, as she said correctly, you need to be open to showing your partner that you're willing to change. But it's the way she said, obviously, change your life. I'm like, wait, what do you mean by that? That sounds like it wasn't a one-night stand. A one-night stand would have been, or one-night affair would have been like, oh, do you know what? You got to show your partner that that was a mistake that you made, right? The language of someone saying they made a mistake is that's the mistake someone made, right? But watching the language that's been used, like I said to you, going back earlier on where he says about it's a lapse of judgment, not a character flaw. I really feel like that came into play because the end part where she says obviously the change of life is like, what do you mean change of life? What do you mean you might have to change jobs? Like, it's a one-time mistake. It wasn't a continuing thing. Then I realized maybe this is not a one-time thing.
You kind of have to do everything that is necessary for you to show your partner that you are no longer in that life anymore, and you are no longer going to make that decision anymore. If it stems from a job or the people you're surrounded with.
Maybe it's a continuous affair of events. And I've suffered that before, so I know. Maybe that was a continual affair of events where there was continually going back and forth with that guy before she got found out. Might not have been a one-time event. Do you understand? Chile, if that's the case, Chile, that burns, bro. You understand? That burns differently. Yes. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. What do you guys think? What do you think? This is like the worst thing a man's greatest fear is this, man. Do you know what I mean? So, guys, let us know what your thoughts are on this particular video. Comment down below, please. As well, I always say, like, you guys are respectful. Guys don't do that. You don't go on people's videos and go on a mad thing. So I'm glad of that. But let's keep it respectful. Do you understand? But let us know your thoughts down below. Have you ever been cheated on? Have you been a cheater before? We're going to do a live on this maybe the week after as well, on Friday, 20th of February, I think. But, we'd love to hear your stories as well. But yeah, guys, let us know down below what you think. Make sure you like, subscribe. Please join our Patreon, Little Black But 91. We're going to start a new thing called Watch a Movie with Me. Where basically we're gonna have a select group of people. We're gonna watch a movie together, and then we're gonna analyze it together. You get me? Let everybody know their thoughts and stuff. I like them kind of things. So yeah, guys, make sure you stay locked, stay loaded, and we appreciate you, baby.